and salute. Former Congressman Michael McNulty will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for our opening prayer. Brooke Albert will lead us. Thank you. Please be seated. Good morning. My name's Tim Forbes. I'm the chairman of the Rensselaer County Honor a Deceased Veteran Committee. We've gathered here this morning to honor a deceased Rensselaer County Veteran of the month of March, and that veteran is Robert F. Voigt. We're honored to have with us this morning his family, his widow Ann, son Timothy, and son Robert. Thank you for all being here. Also with us today to honor our Veteran of the Month is our Rensselaer County Executive, Steve McLaughlin. For the first time, we have representing Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, Joshua Williams, and Reed Chonas is here also. Congressman Paul Tonko, former Congressman Michael McNulty, New York State Senator Jake Ashby, New York State Assemblyman Scott Bendet. I don't see John, but usually John T. McDonald III is here. Rensselaer County Legislative Chairwoman Kelly Hoffman, our Vice Chairman Robert Loveridge, our Rensselaer County District Attorney Mary Pat Donnelly, our Rensselaer County Undersheriff P.J. Higgett, our Rensselaer County Court Judge Deborah Young, from the Watervliet Arsenal Colonel Fisher, our legislators that are here, Dan Casale, Mark Fleming, Wayne Gendron, Tom Grant, Kelly Hoffman, and Carol Weaver. As we are all aware, Memorial Day and Veterans Day are special days to remember all of our veterans. This program was created to help us honor our veterans all year round. To us here in Rensselaer County, every day is Veterans Day. The Rensselaer County Honor a Deceased Veteran Program represents veterans organizations throughout the entire county. This includes members of the American Legion, the Disabled American Veterans, the Veterans of Lansingburg, the Military Order of Purple Heart, the Marine Corps League, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the Korean War Veterans, the Tri-County Council of Vietnam-era Veterans, Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, Vietnam Veterans of America, the AMVETS, and our own Rensselaer County Veterans Service Agency. I will now ask Kelly Hoffman, the Rensselaer County Chairwoman, to come forward and to tell us about our honored Veteran of the month of March, Robert F. Voigt.
Good morning, everyone. If I could invite the other legislators that are here with me today. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our brand-new legislative chambers here at 99 Troy Road. This is a little bit different setting than our old chambers in downtown Troy. We're very excited to welcome everyone here today to our first Honor of Veterans ceremony in our brand-new chambers. There was a lot of work behind the scenes to get the cases that you see behind you put together and transported here from our Troy location. We still have some important pieces that we need to work to install, but you should know that we have worked diligently for many months to preserve the beauty and the grandeur for all of our veterans' displays and our materials, our memorials, and we're proud to have them installed here today. So thank you to everyone who helped make that happen. Today we gather to honor the life and service of Robert Vogt, who was born in Troy on July 10, 1936. Robert was raised in Troy and attended Catholic Central High School, Lansingburg High School, and LaSalle Institute. Soon after his 17th birthday, and just over 1 week after fighting ended in the Korean War, Robert enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in Albany on August 4, 1953. Private Vogt headed to the Marine Corps recruiting depot, Parris Island in South Carolina, where he received his basic training. After completing basic training, Private Vogt attended Airman School, Class P, at Marine Air Detachment in Jacksonville, Florida. After Airman School, Private Vogt received his flight equipment course at the Naval Air Technical Training Unit in Lakehurst, New Jersey. It was there where he learned the important skills needed to support and develop the aircraft launch and recovery equipment systems and the operation of support equipment for the naval aviation. Private Vogt went on to serve as a basic flight equipment man, highly trained in the skills needed to provide soldiers with survival equipment, parachutes, and other special gear. His duties included inspecting, maintaining, and repairing parachutes, search and rescue equipment, along with survival kits, medical kits, flight clothing, night vision equipment, and much more. Private Vogt was responsible for the lives and safety of his colleagues who put their lives on the line as they used the parachutes and equipment that he would prepare and maintain. It was a responsibility that he took very seriously. On November 15, 1956, Private Vogt was honorably discharged from the United States Marine Corps at U.S. Naval Retraining Command, Camp Elliott in San Diego, California. For his honorable service to our country, Private Vogt was awarded the National Defense Service Medal. Private Vogt returned to civilian life in Troy and married Ann Casino at St. Peter's Church in Troy on April 6, 1958. Together, they had 4 children, a daughter, Patricia, and 3 sons, Robert, Gary, and Timothy. Robert worked as a machine operator at Bendix in Green Island. He worked in the friction materials department. Bendix was a major employer in the area that was known for the production of automobile brake pads. As a soldier, Robert was responsible for preparing and maintaining parachutes that our soldiers trusted to properly slow their descent to land. And as a civilian, he worked at a facility that we trusted to manufacture brakes that would stop our vehicles. That's pretty ironic. After retiring from Bendix in 1985, Robert continued his work at Hudmo Valley Federal Credit Union, where he was previously serving as president, a member of the board of directors, and later as chairman of the supervisory committee, a position that he held until his passing. If he wasn't working, Robert enjoyed doing large jigsaw puzzles, traveling, and spending time with his cherished family. Robert was involved in several community organizations. He was a longtime member of the Friends of 112th Street and the Legnard Curtin American Legion Post 927 in Green Island. He was a retired member of the United Auto Workers Local 1508, where he served for several years as recording secretary, a former Boy Scout of America leader for PAC 58, and a communicant of St. Patrick's Church in Troy. Sadly, on January 28, 2004, Robert passed away. Left behind to cherish his memory were his wife, Anne, his daughter, Patricia, his sons, Robert and Timothy, and his late son, Gary. His grandchildren, Kristen, Rachel, Caitlin, Jason, Matthew, Ryan, Brianna, Wesley, Jolie, Carrie, Ashton, Ashley, Allison, Amanda, and Jessica, and his brother, William. Robert was predeceased by his parents, William and Helen. He is buried at St. Mary's Cemetery in Troy. Robert led a full life. He served his country with pride and honor and returned home, went to work, got married, and started a wonderful family that loved him very dearly. Rensselaer County has a rich tradition of men and women who have answered the call to serve their country, and we are honored to be able to recognize his service today. On behalf of the Rensselaer County Legislature, I would like to thank Robert's family for allowing us to honor him here today. At this time, I would ask retired Colonel Tom Walsh to share his thoughts and tell us a little bit about our Hall of Heroes.
Thank you, Kelly. This is actually the fourth time I've seen this memorial moved. It started off at the Old Army on 15th Street, where we first initiated it. And believe it or not, it was $5,000 for that. That was all the cabinet work. And back then, it was a hard time raising money, but we got it from all our veterans organizations and within the National Guard itself, from the individual guardsmen. They all donated for it. And it was a great project. And it was put together by one of my officers in my company and myself. I was the chairman of it. And make a long story short, it was a good thing I was chairman of it, because when we moved out of the Army with the National Guard, the 42nd Division moved in, and they some veterans there had them take the medals out and move them up to Saratoga. So I got a little angry at that, so I went to the general was in charge of the National Guard, and at one time he worked for me, and so he went along with me and donated the memorial back to us, because we actually owned it, the state didn't own it, so we moved it up to Rensselaer County. So it moved from 15th Street to the Army up on in North Greenbush, and then from there to the old office building for the county, and then to here. So it really looks good to me. I like the way it turned out, and I'm sure you're going to see all the rest of it by the end of the month. Everything else will be up. And to the family, uh, Robert will be on a plaque that, that will be put in here honoring our deceased veterans. So he'll be on it for this year. And then we'll have you back again when they dedicate that plaque. So, well, thank you very much.
Would any of the other legislators like to say anything? If not, we'll do our presentation. Oh, Dan, go ahead.
I just want you to know that I know Mr. Vogt for a long time. They grew up around the corner from me in Lansingburg. And it's funny, on personal, I just want to say that Gary, who's not here right now, is your son, your brother, he's one of my best buds growing up, is up in heaven smiling down. Just want to say.
Like he doesn't do doors, he just goes to the yard and people come out to see him. Thanks, Sean. Thanks very much. Thank you. Yes, you do. Thank you. We doing, Tom? We doing, Tom? Thank you. Thanks, good to meet you.
Thank you all. I will now ask Rensselaer County Executive Stephen McLaughlin to come forward.
Thank you, Tim. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a pretty historic day here. It's our very first Honor of Vet ceremony here in our new beautiful building. Chambers came out great. A couple finishing touches to go, but real proud of the effort that went in here. And thank you for joining us today, Ann and Tim, Robert. Appreciate that. And Congressman McNulty's here, who was very instrumental in getting these ceremonies started here in Rensselaer County. They've been duplicated in many other counties around the area, and I would think around the state, but Congressman McNulty started that. Congressman Tonko, welcome. First time in the building here. For a lot of us, for a lot of folks, it's the first time in the building. Congresswoman Stefanik's office is represented here today. Colonel Fisher, thank you for joining us. He's here quite often, pretty much every time, I think, yeah. So we thank everybody for being here, and Kelly did such a great job honoring Robert and kind of going over his life, and it seemed like a life based around safety. You know, I don't think there's anything more important than a paratrooper than the guy that's inspecting the parachute, making sure it's okay. And as a pilot, I never quite got jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, but that's what they do. But pilots will find a way to break them. So, and we need people that are going to fix the equipment, and that's what Robert did. And then to come home, as Kelly said, and work at Bendix and be responsible for car safety in a very big way. And then Boy Scouts are all about safety and preparedness as well. So just a really quintessential Rensselaer County and Troy life. And by the way, is there anybody that didn't live around the corner from Dan Casale? Everybody lived around the corner from Dan. If it's Lansingburg, Dan grew up around the corner from him. He knows everybody down there. And this is another great example of that. But you know, and St. Patrick's. I mean, is there anything more Troy than St. Patrick's? So just a great life, a life well lived, a great family, and we thank you for letting us honor him here today in the first of hundreds or thousands of these that'll take place over the next few decades. But thank you for being here today, letting us honor Robert. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you, Steve. I will now ask Joshua Williams, representing Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, and Congressman Paul Tonko to come forward.
Thank you, Tim. Good morning, everyone. And a pleasure to join you in the new location for the legislature. I wish you many productive times here that serve the people of the county well. So thank you. And it's good to be joined by the staff member of the Congresswoman's office. To everyone assembled here, to all of the veterans and Commander Fisher and active veterans, or active military, and to all of my colleagues in government, to County Exec McLaughlin and Kelly and the county legislature, my predecessor, and certainly someone who I've served with in the State Assembly, Mike McNulty. And again, let me echo those thanks that Steve offered for having planted the seed for these ceremonies, which I think are very important. But most importantly, to join with all of you as family members, and an honor to say thank you to your late husband. And Bob and Tim, thank you for allowing us to honor your dad. It's so important, I believe, to take these moments in our busy schedules to say thank you to that honor roll of citizens, veterans who have made certain that our rights, our freedoms are protected against the forces that attack a democracy. And through the history of this nation, the various vintages of veterans have been bold, they have been brave, they've been dedicated and devoted, and they serve with undeniable patriotism. And we include your father and your late husband in those ranks. It's important, I think, to learn about each of these veterans because we understand the kind of sacrifice, the selflessness that was part of their service. In thinking of the fact that he left school before graduation. He disrupted that activity so that he could serve this nation, which speaks a lot about his character. And to be able to later earn that high school diploma was important. But to have him also utilize his skills, and as has been said here many times, a couple of times this morning, safety was his goal in life, in his professional work, in his service to the nation. And that pressure of making certain that everything was safe, parachutes to save the lives of our troops, and certainly brakes to address the safety of our vehicles. So one who gave himself of great professional value, and one who obviously served as inspiration. What I was touched by was his leadership in the union. And at Bendix and through the union, he provided for the betterment of all of his co-workers. And I'm very, very touched by the work of unions that provide for great benefits, great salaries, and safe workplaces. And obviously, Robert was deep into that activity. But also to have served as a leader at the credit union, which by their very framework do a lot of community service. So he provided that great leadership for all of the consumer members, and certainly extended that into community projects that are akin to credit unions. So thank you for a life well lived, and for a person who served in uniform as a Marine in an aviation, as part of an aviation team, and being that parachute rigger, which is, again, a tough role, a tough assignment with great responsibility. But on behalf of Congresswoman Stefanik and myself, we ask that a flag be flown over our nation's capital in tribute, in respect, in memory of Robert F. Vogt, as a tribute to his life, and most importantly, for his service to us as a nation so that we could remain free and that America would stand as a beacon of hope for freedom-loving people around the world. And it was our honor to ask that that flag be flown, and I'll present that to you after perhaps we hear from Elise's representative.
Good morning, everyone. Congresswoman Stefanik could not be here this morning, but in her stead, I want to thank the County of Rensselaer for the opportunity to attend. Rensselaer County only recently came under our representation with redistricting, and so this is the first of such events that we get to attend here. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to honor Private Vogt's, not only his military service, but his public career and achievements alongside his family and our fellow legislators. The 21st District, at least in the last Congress, encompass the largest number of veterans in the state, and I believe that's a statistic that still holds up in the new lines, but it's not just a statistic, it's a responsibility on a policy level as well as an individual level, which is why we're grateful for events like this. I have with me a copy of Private Vote's biography of his storied life. They were remarks that Congresswoman Stefanik read into the congressional record last week on the House floor. I would also like to present this to the family. Thank you.
It's a great name.
Thank you, gentlemen. I will now ask New York State Senator Jake Ashby to come forward.
Thank you, Tim. It's great to be with you this morning. It's great to see Congressman McNulty, as always, at these events and across the river. And thank you for all that you do, Congressman, for our veterans, even still today. Thank you for Colonel Fisher for being a stalwart at these events. And thank you to the family for being here and letting us honor Robert. Thank you to County Executive McLaughlin, the Rensselaer County Legislature. We always do such a great job, and it should come as no surprise that we continue this great tradition in a great new building. And when I'm looking at Robert's bio here, coming in right after the Korean War, no doubt that he wanted to serve there and be there, looking back at the history of that, and enlisting in the Marine Corps then and going through the training that he did, starting out in South Carolina at Parris Island, then going down to Florida, and then going to New Jersey, which probably wasn't too great coming from there. But the training and what he did there in protecting the pilots and everybody who was on an aircraft, I can tell you, and I'm sure Colonel Fisher can attest to this too, anyone who's had to pack a parachute and go through that is so important. Anybody who's had to do an inventory, a change of command inventory, where you have materials that would fill this entire building, right? So much responsibility lies on people like Robert, making sure that everything is where it needs to be, and it is as it should be, so that when we do go to war, everything is working properly. It's just a testament to to his work ethic, and then seeing the transition. I was looking at it of helicopters coming in to service, probably right around that time. He probably hit it as they were already in place, but that was a completely new technology that was coming in there, and so he was a part of that. He got to see that firsthand, and then coming into civilian life and carrying on those traditions that he learned, not only as a child but in service to our country with his family. You see it; it's evident in his career path and what he chose to do after his service. He continued to serve when he got home and set the example for his family. So on behalf of the New York State Senate, I have a proclamation for you here today. Thank you for letting us honor him.
Thank you, Jake. I will now ask New York State Assemblyman Scott Bendet to come forward.
So this is my first time speaking at an honor event. First of all, I stand up here not only representing myself and the 107th, but also John McDonald and the 108th as well. John texted me on Saturday and said that he couldn't come. I just also want to say just quickly that I couldn't be more grateful for Assemblyman McDonald being so great to me and easy to work with. He's been really great guy to me. I can't get up here and talk about military stuff like Jake. I wasn't in the military. And I certainly can't speak as eloquently as Congressman Tonko, who just extemporaneously speaks, and it's like he's like a priest and knows the family so well. It's just amazing to me when he does that. And Steve does a great job every single time also. And I was thinking to myself, what should I even say up here? My gosh. But I said to myself, I should probably keep it short because I got a lot of stuff to do today, and I know everybody else does too. But what I learned about being in the legislature and coming to these veteran services is that where we live, ordinary people do extraordinary things. And, you know, on the way here, I was listening to a country music song, and it was basically just talking about being an average Joe. And when I come to these events, I see all of these average Joes that have done incredible things. They went into the military, they jumped out of airplanes, they packed parachutes, they did all these things that were amazing. And then they came back to where we live and raised their family. And they did so in a way that just kind of taught us how to grow up using those same principles that they learned in the military, maybe being a little bit more disciplined. I'm a Boy Scout dad too, so that resonates with me that your dad was a Boy Scout dad. And I just think that we're an amazing community filled with all these veterans that have done extraordinary things. And I think it's really wonderful that Congressman McNulty, like Congressman Tonko said, planted the seed that allows us to recognize these heroes every month, and it really is that. So on behalf of myself, on behalf of John McDonald, we have a citation here for you, and I'll present it to you. And thank you for having me.
Thank you, Scott. I will now ask Colonel Fisher, the commander of the Waterville Arsenal, to come forward.
License. He's moving it.
Had to adjust the mic. Good morning. How y'all doing? Well, one, thank you the Roberts family for allowing us and the rest of the team here to honor his legacy and service. And so you heard a few folks talk about being a parachute rigger, and one of the mottos of the parachute rigger is "I'll always be sure." And so what does that mean into when we looked at Robert's life, his service, and his continued involvement in the community? And all those tasks and those pieces of equipment that he took a meticulous amount of detail to make sure that his fellow service members, Marines, pilots, and those individuals that sometimes wouldn't even know or see his face, knew when they needed that piece of equipment, it would work 100% on time, every time. Sometimes maybe even delivered in those circumstances where you would not anticipate those things to work. And so when I hear about Robert's life and the values of what is instilled in the Marine Corps as far as honor, courage, and commitment. And a lot of all the individuals here talked about a relentless determination to achieve victory and respect and to honor those individuals that he served. And I think that was both in service and also in the community where he worked and took great pride in taking care of others. Now, I'll tell you, as I reflect as some of the other veterans and as my own personal story, I could probably see Robert walking across a parking lot and maybe seeing someone that knew him from far away, be running across the parking lot just looking for an engaging and delightful communication and conversation about one of the oncoming activities here in Lanchenberg and Rensselaer County, but also about probably his activities and what it meant to serve in the United States Marine Corps. And so, as part of here on Waterville Arsenal, there's about a 30% veteran population, and we take very immense amount of pride of recognizing each and every service of individuals that work on Waterville Arsenal. So on behalf of the Arsenal and its workforce, we have a small token of our appreciation to thank you for Robert's service and allowing us to recognize him here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel. John Ritano from the Honor Deceased Veteran Committee will now present the committee plaque. Will the committee members please rise?
On behalf of the Honor Deceased Veteran Committee, citizens of Rensselaer County, and veterans here assembled, please accept this plaque as a symbol of appreciation for your honorable service.
Thank you, John. Please stand for our closing prayer, followed by taps.
Day is done, gone the sun, from the lake, the hill, and the sky. All is well. God of compassion, dignity, and strength, watch over this veteran and his family. Bless him and grant his family comfort and everlasting peace. Amen.
Amen.